Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Paul Enos, filling in for Sam Shad. Today, my good friend, the president and CEO of the American Trucking Associations, Chris Spear, here to talk about everything trucking. That's next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot clothing store and a whole lot more. And for these wintry days, jackets, hoodies, flannel shirts, insulated bib overalls, and merino wool socks. Plus, Big R still has shovels and snowmelt. You need it, they've got it. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more. As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Find your pot of gold at Carson Valley Inn during the Leprechaun Loop Progressive giveaways. Jackpot progresses $2,500 each drawing night up to $20,000. And $10,000 in grand prize giveaways guaranteed Saturday, March 30th. Get your share of Leprechaun loot at the Carson Valley Inn.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. Today, I am very honored to be joined by one of my friends, compatriots, the president and CEO of the American Trucking Associations, Chris Spear. Chris, great to see you, buddy. Joining us from, well, not quite the swamp, but close, right?
I'm within the Beltway, so that qualifies.
So, hey, for our viewers out there, the Nevada Trucking Association, where I'm the CEO, we are part of the federation that is the American Trucking Association, that's comprised of state trucking associations in all 50 states, plus a number of conferences that represent a myriad of different types of operations, from truckload to tank trucks to intermodal to movers. So, Chris, you're really tasked with the job of trying to keep all of us on track in terms of public policy, and not just national, but what's going on in the state. So I want to talk to you about some of those challenges. A lot of people feel like Washington, D.C. is broken, like it's polarized, we can't get things done. You work there, you've been there. Talk to us about kind of the global sense of being able to get things done in D.C.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and certainly I think on a lot of people's minds, because anyone that watches the news, fully understands the dysfunction, the toxicity, the divisiveness that exists now in Washington, and that's been a bit of an evolution over the last 5-10 years, and it's a reflection of what our electorate has sent to Washington to represent them, whether it be on Capitol Hill or in the administration, and it's become so divided, not necessarily because of political views or agendas, but because we have a 3-vote majority in the House, Republican majority, and we have a even split majority in the Senate led by the Democrats. So with those types of numbers, you have more of a working majority, not a voting majority. And so to advance any issue, large or small, even some of the most collegiate issues, really does require both sides working together, and they're not communicating. They don't sit down, they don't have conversations anymore. It's more about X and hitting a few characters without talking to a soul. And taking the personal element out of politics has been one of the biggest challenges, because if you don't talk, you have absolutely no idea if a consensus could even exist. And, legislating is hard. It's also not very pretty, but it does take a lot of effort by those that are sent here to Washington to, make that effort, to go the extra mile to see what could be done and accomplished rather than just hitting send. And I think it's easy to say no. It's much harder to start with yes. That's how we approach things at ATA. Our narrative is not divisive. It's an American story. It's made up of 8.5 million hardworking people that go to work every day, and they expect their elected officials here in Washington to do the same. And, raising money, I understand lunches, breakfast, dinners, they are, in tall order. Everybody's raising money because it's expensive. That's certainly something that we help with our champions, but we also expect them to get to work, to vote, to actually advance those issues. They are not an exception to that rule. All the hard work that we put in each and every day to make our economy, come together each day is expected of our elected officials. So these are the things that we have to constantly remind those in Washington that despite the dysfunction, you got a job to do, and we expect you to do it, or we'll find somebody else that can. And it's a powerful voice. It's 91 years old, the ATA, made up of 50 state associations like Nevada. So in addition to you, Paulie, I've got 49 other state executives that I've got to point in the right direction to get loud, get organized, and to advance our issues. And it's a very effective tool. Imagine 49 other Paulinos is getting loud. It is a chorus that I think gets people's attention here in Washington. And we're well positioned at ATA to do that.
Is it tougher to get things done in an election year, presidential election year?
Yeah, yes and no. I think you're going to see a lot of issues that benefit one candidate or another stall because they'd rather or prefer those issues remain divided as a campaign issue. Border security, immigration, those are really good examples recently that we saw called up as a opportunity to advance some other legislation such as Ukraine and Israeli aid funding. And these issues were advanced in a bipartisan way, and they got stalled for political reasons, and I understand that. I think there are, however, opportunities well below that, priorities that reflect our agenda that do have opportunities. We have a federal excise tax legislation that's bipartisan in the House and Senate that we hope to advance later this year. If there's a tax extenders package, which 12% of tractors and trailers are taxed by the federal government. That's about $25,000 per tractor. So you can imagine, the acquisition of newer, safer, environmentally friendly equipment if we were to remove the heavy hand of the federal government and taking that $25,000.
And in states like Nevada, you can double that because we don't have a tax exemption on rolling stock. So, you're not looking at 25 grand, you're looking at 50. Half of that goes to the feds with the tax that was implemented to fight the Kaiser in 1917.
Right. That's right. And those are issues that we could possibly see advance in an election year, partly because both sides need to show that they're doing something. They haven't done that much of late. So it's that steady drumbeat. It's Paul Enos and the 49 others getting loud, directing our attention to the right issues at the right time. And ATA is very involved in striking when the iron's hot. And if we get an opportunity this year to see some of those issues like FET advance, we could see some of that getting done.
All right. We are here with my good friend, Chris Spear at the American Trucking Associations. And we're going to be right back with him on Nevada Newsmakers.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail. We help it grow. And we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. We are here with my friend, the president and CEO of the American Trucking Association. Joining us from Virginia, Chris Spear. Chris, before we were talking about Washington, D.C., and you do mention, and we talk about the Federation as being 50 states that are all dealing with those state issues. And really, it seems like a lot of those state issues have kind of bubbled up to the surface, especially what our friends in Sacramento are doing with all the environmental regulations, and Providence, Rhode Island with truck-only tolls. So there are battles all over the country. How do you determine where you want to put your focus, and where do you see some of the biggest issues of the trucking industry coming from?
Well, we regularly pulse our members to make sure that we have a very granular understanding of what their priority issues are, what their pain points are, what are they seeing, what are they feeling out in the real world. Washington is not a reflection of reality, but our industry is, and it's operating every day in all 50 states, crossing state lines, moving 72.5% of our economy. And so we want to make certain our members are listened to. And that we capture those pain points and shape them into issue strategies. I think that that is an important exercise to go through regularly, so that we are resourcing issues properly. And we're seeing three particularly. I like to refer to them as the axis of evil. They're led by our friends in the plaintiffs' bar, our union boss friends. And our best friends in the environmental community, all three just holding hands to inflict as much damage on our industry as possible. And this axis is something that I think we all need to be paying attention to, not just the trucking industry. If you look at the campaigns that union bosses have launched just in recent months, they're emboldened. The Teamsters particularly have a president that has been willing to walk a picket line. Not in any time in American history has that ever happened. The president's responsibility is to remain a neutral party. In the event that two sides cannot reach a consensus, it is the president that appoints a federal mediator. There's no point in that, because he's already showed his hand. He leans heavy in the camp of organized labor at the behest of these union bosses, and they're huge campaign donors. And so, that long leash that he has given organized labor is definitely something that we need to pay attention to. I have no problem with anyone who feels they want to join a union, that they need that representation. You have the legal right to do it. You should also have the legal right not to join a union. That's the balance that has to be maintained, that this president's failed on. And we're seeing that creep into our own industry now. Certainly on the plaintiffs' bar, trial lawyers have penetrated every court across the country to tap into as much revenue as they can, not for victims' families, but for themselves, and not just their advertising budgets that portray them as those that champion the issues of people that have suffered in an accident. These people are actually padding their own pocket. Planes, yachts, heavy sports cars. These folks are just absolutely self-centered. It's a vile profession that takes food off the table, some of the hardest working people in the country, and it's a shame, and it needs to stop. Swaying juries, injecting evidence that has absolutely nothing to do with the accident, and with the end result of a nuclear verdict that not only shuts a company down, but puts people out of work. And it needs to be called out for what it is. It's a vile profession. So we're combating the trial lawyers in multiple states, and we've had a lot of victories as a result of that concerted effort. And then third, it's I like to refer to them as the bark licking, tree hugging earth muffins. I mean, these are folks that are absolutely hell bent to have us move freight with donkey carts. If it weren't for the methane emissions, we'd probably be doing it by now. This is a concerted effort, not at the federal level, but at the state level. Again, using this administration to permit waivers for states like California to surpass the Environmental Protection Agency's authority and to go well above the national standard. Why does that matter for us? Because we're in 50 states, we're interstate commerce, and we need a seamless one standard approach. What California has done is through an unelected board, the California Air Resources Board, put forth timelines and targets that are simply unachievable. It has nothing to do with our desire to have clean air, clean water. We all want that. We have 40 years of work with the EPA where we've removed 98.5% of everything that comes out of the tailpipe. 60 trucks today emit what one truck emitted in 1988. That's how much progress our industry has made at improving emissions in this country. So we have a good pedigree, a good track record, yet the timelines, targets that are put forth here would absolutely devastate our industry. We don't have the charging infrastructure. We don't have the power on the grid. We don't have the minerals resourced in this country. And obviously, the price parity, 4-to-1, what we currently pay for a new diesel tractor, and certainly operational parity. It takes 15 minutes to fill a tractor to go 1,200 miles in any condition, extreme heat or cold, whereas it could take 6 to 8 hours to charge an electric truck to go about 200 miles at best. That is crazy. I mean, we simply cannot put more trucks, heavier trucks out on the road to make up that difference. And if we did, we don't have the drivers to fill those seats. So this is a concern that should resonate with every American out there, because you're going to go from 8 apples down to 3, and you're going to probably pay 10 times more for them. It's just simple math. And so these are the 3 that we pay most attention to based on what our members are seeing and feeling, Paul. And it is the axis of evil. They are doing damage not just to our industry, but the American way.
Amen. I love that. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about trucking on the world stage on Nevada Newsmakers.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you. But we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Unlock the loop this March at Tamarack Casino. Cash and free play giveaways all month, including a progressive jackpot giveaway up to $20,000 and a guaranteed $20,000 cash winner in the Golden Ticket Finale. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Welcome back on Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Paul Enos, filling in for Sam Shad, and joined today all the way from McLean, Virginia, by my good friend, President and CEO of the American Trucking Association's Chris Spear. So Chris, before the break, we were talking about our friends in California, all of the environmental craziness that we have to deal with and our members have to contend with there, and representing the state that shares the largest border with them. That tends to be where I get most of my calls and consternation from my folks is, how do we deal with the California Resources Board? How do we deal with all of these regulations? And, even looking at, hey, no more diesel trucks by 2040. So, we've seen a big change in our industry. But you had an opportunity the end of last year to go talk to a board that, dare I say, maybe even more dysfunctional than the state of California, and that's the European Union. Talk to us about, first of all, how did that happen, and what was their reception to, hearing from an American about some of the issues that have been caused by these insane regulations?
Yeah, it was an opportunity. It came forward because California Air Resources Board had actually been to Brussels and were lobbying the European Union to adopt their standards. And that's a fascinating development, Paul, because when's the last time a state out of 50 goes to a foreign government and lobbies them ahead and well beyond our federal government? I thought it was the administration's job to have those types of interactions, not the state of California. So this is very alarming. We got a call from the European Parliament, the committee that has jurisdiction over this issue set, and invited me to come over and testify, essentially. I did it twice. And this is an opportunity to actually share the realities that we just walked through. And I did the same there and said, listen, it's not about being anti-environment or saying no. This is being able to be successful at our endeavor. And I said, this is not realistic. It's not achievable. And it was an interesting discussion because I learned from that the European Union, the Parliament, and the Commission are both putting forward proposals. Yes, they're aggressive, not quite as aggressive as California, but they're actually being a bit more reasonable. They're not only listening to our industry, soliciting comments from us, which California has not done, but they are also allowing bridge technologies such as hybrids, renewable fuels, alternative fuels. They're being much more tech neutral in their approach. It's not this mad dash to zero that CARB has to electrify the country. There's a path for hydrogen. There's a path for different types of blends of fuel with diesel, such as algae and camelina and jatropha. These are all things that you can inject into it to make it cleaner. Why wouldn't you do that? California is dismissive of all of that. If it's not tailpipe free, it's obviously unacceptable. And that's just a ridiculous approach that I do believe is going to do harm, not just to the industry, but to the economy. I think Europe is actually recognizing that, which is very interesting. I would not have couched the European Union as being, a bastion of common sense, but even they are listening to some of the facts that California isn't, and that is really something that you should reflect on. And I think it also really, characterizes the extremism that we're seeing come out of Sacramento.
No, it's absolutely crazy to me that, hey, maybe they're going to be a little more reasoned and rational about how they approach these things to try to get something that works. And hey, we all want clean air, but when you look at some of the studies that, Chris, both of our friends, I know both you and I rely quite a bit on the research that's done by ATRI, the American Transportation Research Institute. And when they have studies that show renewable diesel, which can be used in the same fleet and fueling infrastructure, has twice the savings on CO2 emissions as electric vehicles, you hope that our friends in Sacramento might wake up to that.
Yeah, you think, but it's just you're dealing with cubicle dwellers that have never worked in the real world. They've never made a quarter. They've never had to have P&L. They've never managed people in the real world. And you miss a quarter in our world, it can cost a business. So, this is the realities that we deal with, and we're out there procuring the best technologies, safest equipment, the most environmentally friendly equipment. We're making investments each and every day to make the economy, the supply chain, and the environment and our roadways safer. These are all things that are important to our industry. We take very serious. And I do get my back up against the wall when I have people that don't want to sit down with our industry, don't want to have a conversation, don't want to inject common sense or reality into the equation and cram a bunch of mandates down our throat that we know are going to fail. And, people in California and CARB adopting states, which are about, 11 to 12 of them, are really going to have a dose of reality in about 6 years' time. And they're going to understand the impact that extremism has on their day-to-day lives. And it's our industry that glues the economy together. Everything that you eat, drink, wear, it touched a truck. There was a real person behind the wheel. They're a mom, dad, husband, wife. These are real people, pillars in communities around the country. And these are people working hard on your behalf every day to get you what you not only want, but what you need. And, I think that reality is going to set in real quick. And there's going to be some accountability, Paul, for these people and their actions.
Well, hey, I sure hope so. Chris, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today and give my friends in Nevada who are watching this kind of that national trucking perspective. Really appreciate you. We're going to be right back on Nevada Newsmakers.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
You can go back and watch this show or any shows on Nevada Newsmakers at NevadaNewsmakers.com. Thanks for watching and listening.